All right, in this next section, let's do an overview of the Kubeflow community. First, a bit of a history lesson. So as we mentioned at the very beginning of the course, Kubeflow was originally released by or announced by Google back in 2017. And the whole idea behind Kubeflow was that Google needed a way to run its TensorFlow jobs internally. And since 2017, or since the announcement, there's been 5 releases of Kubeflow, with the latest one happening back on October 12th of 2021, and that was version 1.4. So we can roughly see that the cadence is about, let's just say, about every 6 months. It looks like there's about a new release that comes out. Now, one of the questions that people often ask is, how do I know what version of a component is shipping with the version of Kubeflow that I have? Now, you want to recall that Kubeflow is not a standalone monolithic executable or piece of software. It is actually a platform that is comprised by multiple components. And some of those components have different versioning schemes than the main Kubeflow project. So one way to kind of determine what version of a component ships in a particular version of Kubeflow is to head over to github.com/kubeflow/manifest. And on the README page, you will find a table that will list out the components as well as what the upstream version of that is that got shipped inside of that version of Kubeflow. So the next thing that we want to look at is, how is the Kubeflow project actually developed? How is it organized? And the way that that's accomplished is through this idea of working groups. So big parts of functionality, which roughly coincide with components, are broken up into smaller teams, and they're led by working groups. And they, help determine what the roadmap looks like, what the release schedule looks like, what features are going in, code that's being contributed, documentation, all that good stuff. And the working groups, again, they roughly align with some of the components, but the main working groups are going to be, there's a group for AutoML, manifests, notebooks, pipeline serving, and training. There are also some smaller sub or specialized groups that tackle very specific things, whether it be, the website or community activities, etc. All right, if you're looking for a one-stop shop where you can go to one landing page and get access to all the links that you need to get started with Kubeflow or to engage with the community or to get help, I would highly recommend going to aricto.com/Kubeflow community resources. On this page, we've gathered up all the relevant links around installation guides, installation videos, requirements, tips and tricks, where to get help, documentation, a variety of different tutorials, how to request a private workshop for your company or how to sign up for a public workshop, a directory of all the Kubeflow meetups that you can attend. I think there's a total of 12. So there's definitely one probably in your time zone, where to file bug reports, how to join community calls, go look at companies that are succeeding with Kubeflow, as well as roadmaps for the different components. Now, seeing that you're in this training and certification course, you probably already know that this course is part of a much bigger series of courses called Introduction to Kubeflow, where we're going to be tackling different subjects in order. Obviously, right now, we're tackling Kubeflow fundamentals, but in the next course that you can already register for, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into Jupyter Notebooks and what they are, how they work, and how you can leverage them inside of Kubeflow. And then we'll just work our way through the rest of the main components or core pieces of functionality inside of Kubeflow. So this is going to include pipelines, Kale, Rock, etc. So if you haven't already done so, registration is open for the next course in this series. It's going to be happening on January 13th of the new year. So if you want to continue your education, definitely register for that event. Also, once you graduate through this series, and at that point you should have a really good foundational understanding about Kubeflow and how to use it, I would highly recommend checking out academy.aricto.com. So some colleagues of mine here at Aricto are developing courses and training and certification that are designed for the intermediate to advanced Kubeflow user. So it's a program that's in development, but if you want to poke your head in and take a look at what's happening over there, I highly recommend Aricto Academy as kind of the next step in your education journey.